There is a likely connection between Jesus Christ and Neanderthal history. There are several legendary persons from several different cultures whose stories are similar to the story of Jesus Christ. They all predate Jesus Christ. It is said that Christianity simply copied these older stories, but I'm suggesting a different possibility. Let's first look at some of these other legendary persons. There was Horus in Egypt around the time of the pyramids being built 5,000 years ago. He was born of the Virgin Isis. There was a star in the east associated with him. He walked on water. He healed the sick and restored sight. He was crucified and dead 3 days before being resurrected. There was Mithra, 3,200 years ago, who was born on December 25th. There was a star in the east. He had 12 disciples and performed miracles. He died for 3 days and was resurrected. There was Krishna, 2,900 years ago. He had many legends similar to the Jesus story. He was called the Son of God. His father was a carpenter, and he was resurrected. There was Dionysus, 2,500 years ago in Greece, who was born of a virgin on December 25th. He was a traveling teacher. He turned water into wine, and he was called Holy Child. And finally, there was Jesus, 2,000 years ago. As there is no recorded history prior to the pyramids 5,000 years ago, it is possible that there are many similar legends that are much older. As history tends to repeat itself, it is likely that all of the above legends I mentioned here, including Jesus, were copycats. The first on this list could very well be that of a person who lived more than 50,000 years ago, possibly about 150,000 years ago, during a warm period between ice ages. Jesus was just the most similar since the invention of writing. He probably also lived in the same location as the first. It is possible that the first on this list could have been someone who lived in the Middle East or Europe about 150,000 years ago. My theory is that there once lived a man who wanted immortality, and he believed that sacrificing himself to be cannibalized would accomplish his wish. It is very doubtful that anybody would have remembered him 10,000 years later, prior to the invention of writing. It is this long-forgotten individual who was responsible for cultural changes that led to the Neanderthals evolving larger brains. And it was in the subconscious of the Neanderthals when they encountered the wave out of Africa 60,000 years ago. The Neanderthals are not even close to being gone. It is probably Neanderthal influence and sacrifice that is responsible for hunter-gatherer tribes that migrated out of Africa 60,000 years ago, developing everything from agriculture to religion and science. These Neanderthal men never had biological children, but their sacrifices resulted in the advancements that greatly increased human populations. Without the sacrifice of the Neanderthals, humans would still be hunter-gatherers with a global population of less than 10 million. This is why people like Jesus Christ get worshipped. From the spark of one man's sacrifice came a huge fire of human higher thought that has been burning for tens of thousands of years. This spark is effectively God compared to any person and any governments. This is the God I worship. All religions and all higher thought stem from this one source. I follow Jesus because he is the closest to the true source that I know of. I keep a count of days from the conception of Jesus since my discovery of that date. And the death date of Jesus is known as it was worked out by Isaac Newton to 4 possible dates, with 2 being likely, and with modern research it's down to 1 possible date. Friday, the 5th of April of 30 AD by our modern calendar. I also suspect that similar patterns have been in the human family since we diverged from chimpanzees. I would like to know about the individual Homo erectus who discovered fire and whose sacrifice was that made it possible. I would also like to know about the individual Homo habilis who first started using tools and whose sacrifice made that possible. Thank you so much for watching.